because sometimes it's a lot of times it's the spouse, but a lot of times what I hear from women is, well, my kids don't eat this way, so I have to continue having these foods in my environment. Do you feel like if people really love and respect themselves enough, they'll do what it takes to have the clean environment if that's what they need to succeed?
Yes, and it's also like this is lies people tell themselves, right? So, and it also comes from the other generation, the older generations. I mean, listen, I'm 47, so I think my son will say I'm an older generation. He said I grew up in the dark ages because there was no Wi-Fi, but the older generations than mine, like my mom had this when my mom first went on my protocol, she got rid of her rheumatoid arthritis, because she was still eating cheese and chocolate, and then she couldn't walk up my stairs. And I'm like, Mom, I'm healing people all over the world, and my mother's limping up the stairs, right? So, but she had changed her diet. She lost 20 pounds. Her arthritis was gone. She felt amazing. And then she was going to make some food. And then for my kids were with her at the time. And she goes, but I invited the neighbors, so if they come, I'll use some cheese. So why would you add cheese? Gesundheit.
I muted myself when I did that. Thanks.
Yeah. So, okay. So I said, well, why would you add cheese if the neighbor comes over? And she's like, Brooke, she tried to do the mom voice, but I'm too old for the mom voice. She's like, Brooke, that's what you do. If people come over, you feed them what they want. I'm like, Mom, this is ridiculous. Your neighbors have had cancer, heart attacks, diabetes. Why wouldn't you give them the opportunity to try something plant-based? You could save their lives. And she actually did. She gave me an attitude, and then she did it. She called me. She's like, just so you know, I made it plant-based and they loved it. And I'm like, good job, Mom. But there was like this, I think that was part of the training, is that like, it's kind of like what we just said, right? If you love someone, you give them what they want, but there's also boundaries, right? So if someone comes to my home, there is no meat or dairy in my home. This is a safe space. This is a healing space. We do not have that in my home. So if someone likes something, I will make them something, but it will be a plant-based version of that, right? Or I'll give them the experience of having something healthy and interesting. And most people are curious. They want to taste what I'm making anyway. But it's kind of like, if you quit smoking, would you allow people to come into your house and smoke? No, right? So there's a difference between loving someone by giving them something that's for them and enabling somebody. And so a lot of times when people will say, like, I have to keep serving meat and dairy because my husband and my kids like it, I'm like, you are not loving them by doing this. You are enabling them. You're enabling them to stay addicted. You're enabling them to continue doing something unhealthy that will hurt them, rather than confronting, because you're afraid of the confrontation. And I always tell them, especially when it's the person who does the shopping and the cooking who's complaining that there still has junk in the house, I'm like, you are the person buying and making the food. You can choose to buy healthy foods. What are they going to do about it? Right? I mean, I've had people complain that they can't change the diet of their children who are like 8 or 5 years old. I'm like, you are the parent. It is your job to do what's right for them, even when they don't want to. Right? Like we just took my son's computer cord because even though he's a very honest, sweet soul, he stayed up till 4:30 the other night. We're like, all right, if you can't be in control, we got to take the cord. You can't stay that late, right? Like kids, they don't know how to make the best decisions every moment. That's why you need parents, right? So that's like part of what you do. But it's about having the conversation to say, you know what, now that I know that these are unhealthy, I love you too much to make that for you. I can't stop you from having it at a friend's house. I can't stop you from going out and doing it on your own, but I can at least be at peace that I'm only giving you things that are good for you because I love you too much. And I'll have parents practice that line when their little kids complain because they just want plant-based. And whenever they say, why can't I have pizza at the party? Because I love you too much. And you keep saying it that way. You're not a mean parent. You're a loving parent who's willing to deal with their discomfort and their withdrawal and their tantrums because you love them so much that you're going to do the right thing for them even when they don't want it. And that's the difference. So you would tell your kids like, hey guys, we switched to plant-based. So when you come to our house, it's going to be all plant-based and it's going to be great. And if you don't like it, I can't stop you from going out. But not like, but I can't eat healthy because I need to make unhealthy things for everyone else. It's not a real thing. I have seen it in older couples. I had a lady who was in my rapid recovery group. She actually, she made a cool video reversing scleroderma. But her husband, it was just the two of them. And he was like a big, like, he was the opposite of plant-based, like only animal products. And so she posted a picture one day of what she made him for breakfast. And it was a pile of bacon so high. I was like, do you not like your husband? Are you like trying to get rid of him? Like, because this is like a heart attack on a plate already. But it was just, she was just like, I'm not even tempted. And this is how our marriage has always been, and whatever, I'm just going to make it. But I don't know. For me, I couldn't do that. I was like, I'm making salad for dinner. I'm not going to stop you if you want to make your meat outside, but I am going to like still encourage you to eat better because I love you so much. So yeah, it's all conversations, and again, self-esteem. Your kids will still love you and come over if you're making something plant-based. Like,
This is one of the best talks I've ever heard, and this is something people need to listen to over and over when they're feeling, not strong enough to ask for what they need.
oh, thank you. I'm so glad.
It's really wonderful.